absolutely. You want to be quiet in your mind, making sure you've got those details in place, the rudder correctly positioned, and then all the energy comes out, and a great start from the crew from the Netherlands on the right of our picture.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Mitchell Steenman there really driving the boat off. I mean, he was always a very, very aggressive racer. He's got very good power at 93 kilograms versus Ballinger, the stroke seat of Leander pair there at 89 kilos. But it's great. It's a great experience for this Leander crew to be racing such pedigree here at Henley. This is where they train every day. They'll know the stretch of water, and it's a fantastic opportunity to test your steel and see where you are.
Where they are at the moment is that they've come out of the top of the island, and the crew from the Netherlands have managed to get the jump on them and open up a bit of clear water. Very hard to know what this crew from Leander can do now. In some ways they want to respond, they want to make something happen. I think they can't afford to do a big settle down into a pace that's going to take them over the whole course. You're going to have to recognise there's a little bit of a tailwind there. We can just see those flags, or at least kind of pointing in the right direction, but the breeze is light. There's very little that's going to help them. They're going to have to do it all themselves if they're going to be able to close this gap, because that's a massive move from the Dutch pair, disappearing out of the right of our shot.
Yeah, and you look at the Leander pair on the left-hand side of your screen here, Greg, and they are rowing actually very well. But the difference here is you have two full-time international athletes racing against very experienced international athletes with many years, many miles under their belt, versus two much younger guys who are at the beginning of their career, and there's nothing that makes up for training in this sport, Greg.
Well, you were talking about Mitchell Steenman in the stroke seat, such an experienced man in this Netherlands boat 10 years ago, racing on the Dutch national team. You think about Alex Ball, he rode in the Imperial College crew that won the Prince Albert here last year. Tom Ballinger, sitting in front of him, made the semi-final of the Forley, rowing for Clare's Court back in 2017. So this is just the next step up for them. They managed to win in Marlow in the championship pairs, but now they find themselves up in a whole different league, really, on the Saturday of Henley in the Silver Goblets.
Yeah, Greg, what you can see here is a really great shot of the finish of the stroke. You can see Leander and the Dutch crew on the left-hand side, Leander on the right-hand side. And the reason the Dutch are getting a little bit more speed, one, they have power, but what they're doing is they're finishing out the stroke. You can see there it's crisp. It's almost like a cha sort of sound, and here Leander just a little bit messier, still rowing very well, but just not quite the difference. And it's the subtleties like that create the efficiencies in rowing that make you go a bit faster.
That's great to hear you say that, Alex. And I think, again, if you look at those red, white and blue blades, they just look really solidly in the water, and the boat moves past them. When you look across to the right, you see those cerise blades. They just seem to kick around just a little bit more. They don't lock up in quite the same way, so the guys aren't able to apply the force quite as efficiently.
Yeah, but fair play here to Leander. They're not letting Steenman and Oyen get away. These young guys, they're really giving it a great race here. Coached by Matt Beachy and Mark Banks of the Leander Club, and doing a fantastic job here of staying in the fight. But we can see here, Steenman and Oyen, they're in control. They're lower stroke rate here, taking less strokes per minute, more power per stroke. Greg, I don't know what the rate is versus the Leander crew, but they're showing their international class.
Well, I can tell you the crew from the Netherlands have been able to bring it to 28. We take a look at the crew on the right, and they're still wobbling around a little bit more in that Leander boat. Their rate is going to be hard for me to get, but I'd say it's at about 34 strokes a minute. So, as we say, Oyen and Steenman in a little bit more control here. They'll look down and see that yellow stroke coach in front of Mitchell Steenman on the deck of the boat behind him. He'll know that stroke rate. He'll know his time. He'll know where they want to be. And they want to be in control here, and they don't want to be challenged. They don't want the crew from Leander to make some sort of move and come suddenly flying back at them. And they don't want to even give them a sniff, really.
Yeah, what a wonderful shot there of the Hamilton Valley behind both crews there. Ballinger really, giving it absolutely everything. This Leander crew, they're not going to give up.
And so, Alex, when we see them, I'd like to know, what's the work you've been doing with them?
So I just try to provide a bit of support, we call it athlete support. Try and share some of my experience. Looking at these crews racing today, it doesn't really justify or explain sort of all the hard work that goes in getting here. And that hard work, it takes a lot of time, and there are lots of challenges along the way. So it's about sharing that experience and helping the athletes through that time.
That's great you're able to stay with them and give something back of your experience. A man of the great career which you have had. I'm going to try and sit here in my head and tot up the number of Olympics and medals, but I know you were there for a good 10 years or so when I was there. Give me a reminder so I don't get it wrong.
I can't remember, but it was a good time. I can say that. But look, I'm really impressed with the way the Dutch are rowing here. I would say that this is probably the best I've seen Steenman row, which is he's rowed for a long time. I've seen him on the circuit for a long time, and I think this is probably the smoothest pair. Very, very classy way that they're rowing. They're not missing much of the stroke at the front end there, where they drop the blades in at what we call the catch, and then they hold it all the way there to the finish and giving it that last touch. That's what I really like in rowing, Greg. When you'll remember when I was sitting behind you, I always used to say, give it that last touch. Oh, look at that class there. Oyen giving a wave to the crowd. I'm not sure that the stewards will be happy about that.
Not sure we call that class. I'm not sure we call that class, but no, it's a classy pair, and they're looking good. Yeah, and you say, Alex, I remember rowing along with you. I think mostly when I was rowing along with you, you said, Greg, it's down on me. That was the main thing you used to tell me. Push your hands down and get it off my side.
It's down on Bal's side. Well, what we're going to say there, so you can see here, Greg explained to the viewers that it looks very nice and easy, and the boat is level and balanced. But the reality is that's very difficult to do. Here you've got the Dutch taking it up, a bit of a sprint along the enclosures.
Well,
here,
they've made me reach for my rate watch so I can see what they're up to. And yeah, it looks like a sprint coming up to 40 strokes a minute in front of the grandstand. To give a little bit of grandstanding. Now they've wound down again. So
what's your view on that, Greg, on that sort of showmanship?
It's difficult to say, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't hold it against them. I mean, I guess it kind of keeps it interesting for the people who are watching, that they'll think, oh, that's interesting, see what a sprinting pair looks like. I'm sure they're meaning no disrespect to this group on Leander. I mean, if they maybe started doing single strokes, that might seem a bit unnecessary. Again, you see Michael Owen there again taking his hand off and just acknowledging the crowd. It's difficult to say. I don't think we should have some characters in the sport. I don't think we should be completely bland myself.
Absolutely. I remember when Matthew Vincent may have taken his hand off many years ago, coming down the enclosures in what was quite a lot tighter race against the Australian Orson Foursome back in 1997.
Well, those are memorable moments, and this will be a good step on the way towards one of those for the pair from the Netherlands. As we see them crossing the line, Oyen and Steenman take the win over Ball and Ballinger in that semi-final of the Goblets.